Belize's 40th anniversary of being an independent, developing nation comes at a critical juncture in its history. Stricken by an increase in COVID-19 infections, the country continues to grapple with a public health crisis. The government is also faced with getting a severely weakened economy back on its feet. These are the most important challenges 4 decades after Belize gained its sovereignty.
COVID-19 has tested us, changed how we live, how we work, and how we pray. It has tested our mettle by forcing drastic changes to our daily lives, not more so than having to keep apart from each other. It has kept our children away from school and their friends. It has kept loved ones from celebrating weddings, young parents from bringing their family together for christenings, and even burying our dead, things we hold near and dear.
The primary charge of the Briceño administration since taking office last November has been to tackle the pandemic.
For this reason, from day one, we have been working to make our communities and neighborhoods as safe and as healthy as we can. Our first task has been and must be defeating COVID. We do this by making vaccines available for everyone, and we are doing that. Today, every Belizean from 12 and up can and should get vaccinated to protect ourselves, but more so, to protect each other. Once again, I urge everyone, please get vaccinated.
In delivering his first Independence Day address as leader of the opposition, Patrick Faber, who only just regained that office on September 16th, also acknowledges the challenge brought about by COVID-19. Nonetheless, he attributes the dire state of the country to a lack of political resolve.
We are at one of the most challenging times in our nation's history. I say challenging because never before has this nation faced the threats to its very existence as it does today, not just from the invisible enemy of the dreaded coronavirus, not just from the ravages of escalating crime and violence that plague our society, but from a lack of political willpower to change the circumstances that led us to where we are today.
These circumstances, which the leader of the United Democratic Party refers to, are, in some measure, the creation of the 3-term U.D.P government. When the People's United Party took over, they inherited many of these setbacks.
In 2020, in the midst of the pandemic, a new mandate was handed resoundingly to the People's United Party to do just that, to stand on the shoulders of these giants and to fulfill a promise to the Belizean people that a new course will be charted and that policies will be developed so that, as they promised, everyone can win. The backdrop of this shift in administration in itself was quite remarkable. Belize was enduring perhaps the worst set of economic conditions it has ever faced in its history. Our main income-earning industries were on their knees.
To hear Prime Minister John Briceño tell it, the turnaround in the past 10 months has been significant, owing to various sectors, including agriculture and tourism.
Last November, we inherited an economy that was in decline well before the onset of COVID-19 pandemic, one that was near depression levels not seen in almost 40 years, where the unemployment rate soared to almost 30%, with over 60,000 people out of a job, with the poverty rate surpassing 50%. These were clear evidence that our nation was being mismanaged, or perhaps more appropriately, abandoned. But we did not allow ourselves to despair. With the stellar efforts of the Minister of Agriculture and his team, the export of cattle started almost from day one of the U.D.P administration. Currently, agriculture is leading the economic resurgence, growing almost 25% in the second quarter of this year. Our small and large farmers are growing and producing more. Our people are responding by eating what we grow and produce. Through the tireless efforts of the Minister of Tourism and his team, tourism is not far behind growing by almost 20% in the second quarter as well.
The crushing state of joblessness, according to PM Briceño, has also been reduced and, equally important, the economic rebound is happening much faster than what was initially predicted.
Unemployment has fallen dramatically by 25,000 from over 64,000. Using all definitions of employment, this means that unemployment is down to roughly 11.2% of the labor force. Overall, our economy is now headed in the right direction, experiencing an overall growth of over 22% in the second quarter and over 6% for the first 6 months of this year, more than triple what our IFI partners like the IMF expected. On the public finances, this government is no longer borrowing $1 million a day. This reckless borrowing has been discontinued for almost 6 months now. In addition, we have successfully reduced the central bank overdraft from $100 million to zero. In other words, we are no longer paying any interest as we no longer owe any monies on overdraft with the central bank. Thanks to the sacrifice of many, including our teachers and public officers, we have kept government expenditures under check.
Reporting for News 5, I am Isani Cayetano.